I am back with Beck from the channel SheNoob087. We are doing another collab video. Now, on a few of my previous videos, you guys have said that you wanted to hear more about the university books that I have read this semester. Beck and I were in 2 of the same classes last semester. Yep. So we did English and we did drama together. And Beck in particular has some very strong opinions. About
these texts.
Of the texts that we read this semester. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all of them sort of in turn. We're going to talk about all the drama texts and all the English texts that we read. We're going to give them a rating out of 5 stars each, and then we're going to talk a little bit about why we gave them the rating that we did. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting video.
This is going to be interesting and maybe a little bit of an experiment.
We're going to start with the drama class. So for drama, we read 6 plays and 1 text.
Yeah, one sort of dramaturgy text.
Okay, yeah, let's call it that, but I'm never using that word because it's too difficult. So the first thing we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about Aristotle's Poetics. I didn't even read the whole text though, I only read the chapters we were supposed to read. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, so I'm giving it 3 stars because it was the only assignment that I got close to a HD on.
I did as well, but I just found the text to be incredibly outdated. Was my biggest problem.
Oh, it was outdated.
It was incredibly outdated. It was written in 400 and something BC.
I don't know, it was written a long time ago. Ancient Greece. Ancient Greece. And then it kept popping up in other things. Like it popped up in one of our English textbooks.
I know.
And I was like, can we not please talk about Aristotle? Because, like, we don't like him anymore.
It popped up when I was reading an article online about Shakespeare, like, 2 weeks ago. I was like, are you kidding me? This book will not go away. It is everywhere.
So now we move on to the first play that we read this semester, and that play is Medea, which was written by Euripides in ancient Greece again. Ooh, I'm just going with 3 stars across the board. I did enjoy Medea, but I thought that it was, I don't know, I don't like ancient plays. So they were really boring to me.
Enough.
But I liked the twists and stuff, but I just have bad memories associated with Medea, so.
I just thought it was a really solid tragedy. Nothing really that special. I gave it 4 stars because I enjoyed it a lot more than the other things that we read.
Okay, now we move on to Black Medea. So Black Medea was written by Wesley Enoch. It's more of a modern play, and I had to do an assignment on it, so that's
you did a presentation.
That's going to reflect in the rating that I give it.
Yeah.
Yeah!
I agree on something. Okay, this play, look, I need to say something about this play. This play is Medea, but it is shortened, very condensed version of it, and it is about Indigenous Australians. Instead of being ancient Greeks, everybody was, well, the main characters were Indigenous Australians. And it is the worst piece of trash I've ever read in my entire life. No, that's not true. We read a book for English that was worse. But it is definitely the worst play I've ever read. I hated it. It made no sense. It totally destroyed the entire point of the original play. Every 3rd word was a swear word. It was so unnecessarily drongo. It was not funny.
I didn't understand it, so doing the assignment on it made it really difficult, which made me hate it even more. It swore a lot, and it actually painted the Aboriginal community in a really bad light, which I didn't like.
Yeah.
Like, I understand why it was written the way it was and why they performed it the way they did, but for me, I didn't appreciate seeing it.
I thought it was really over the top.
Now we move on to the next play, which was don't help me. I used to be able to say it during the semester, but now I can't. So no, I give up.
Dojoji.
There
you go.
Dojoji. It's an ancient Japanese play that doesn't have a lot of dialogue. It was more focused on sounds and movement, which was actually pretty cool. So,
So listen, the reason I'm giving 2 ratings is because we studied the No version and the Kabuki version. I give the No 3 and the Kabuki 4 because the Kabuki was more entertaining.
Let's give it 4 because out of all the plays that we read, I actually really enjoyed this one. I thought it was very different, and I like learning about other cultures, so I found it really interesting to learn. It was hard to read because there wasn't a lot of dialogue. It was more about the sounds of the movement, but when we watched it, it made more sense and it was really good.
Yeah. The Kabuki one, I preferred the humour in Kabuki. Then I don't really like No theatre. I find it really takes itself far too seriously.
See, I think I preferred the more serious one. I preferred the more serious one. I thought because of the story of the play, I enjoyed the more serious version. I didn't like the comedies, but I'm not really a comedy person, so.
I liked the Kabuki version.
So the next play we read was Aristophanes' Lysistrata.
Yeah, we agree. I want to give it 4 stars, but I can't because it was stupid.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really a comedy person, so when I was reading it, it was really over the top. And I understand that learning about it and learning about why they had the comedies the way they did was really interesting, but I don't know, I thought the actual storyline of the play was really stupid as well, because nothing got accomplished. They literally end the play the same way they start the play. Like, no one has moved forward, no one has moved backwards. There was no winner, there was no loser. It just was status quo.
So this one was ancient Greek again. It was a comedy about women who are upset that their husbands had gone off to war, so they go on a sex strike to try and make them come home. It's ridiculous, but I was laughing out loud when reading it, but for the wrong reasons. Like, not because the play was funny, because what they were saying was making me really uncomfortable. It made me laugh, but not for the right reasons.
So the next play that we read was a Shakespeare play, and we're both really big Shakespeare fans, so I was super excited to read it. We read The Tempest. It was the first time I'd ever read The Tempest.
Yeah, I hadn't read this one before.
Yeah, so I think this one is widely believed to be William Shakespeare's last play. So a lot of scholars think that he sort of based it on himself and that he's a character in it. So it was an interesting read,
we agree again. For Shakespeare, it was really...
Un-Shakespeare.
Un-Shakespeare, yeah, it was. It really wasn't very good. I enjoyed reading the actual text, but the film that we studied, which had the gender bent Prospero in it, to Prospera, even though I love Helen Mirren and I think she's fantastic, that movie was terrible.
Oh, yeah. Felicity Jones was in
terrible.
That movie as Miranda, and I didn't like the movie. I'm like, how is that?
Awful. Like, it just didn't work.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was an interesting concept they tried to do, but he definitely tried to put in too much going on at once. Like, all the focus on the magic I found very off-putting, because it wasn't supposed to be, like, that wasn't supposed to be the main focus like it is in, like...
It was very fantastic.
What's on, like, Midsummer Night's Dream. Yes, that's all about magic. This one was more supposed to be about Prospero, and I don't know. And I didn't like Miranda and Ferdinand, because Miranda was just so innocent that I just found it so unbelievable. I did like Caliban, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I didn't like him in the movie, but I liked him in the play, because in the play he's supposed to be like this little fish guy, but in the movie he was like this strapping young man. I'm like, stop. The last play that we read for drama was Oscar Wilde's An Ideal Husband. So I'd never read any of Oscar Wilde's work before.
Me either, no.
And I didn't really know what to expect when I read it.
We agree again. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was, how would you describe it though? Was it a tragic comedy?
It was a melodrama.
It was melodrama.
Melodrama. It was melodrama, which I love. I do love melodramas. I love anything that's super overdramatic. I found that the beginning of the play was really uncertain, because it seemed like it was going to be sort of all about politics and not so much about marriage, but then it was very amusing to read, and I actually did really enjoy the plot. The whole play was just a social critique on the time, and it was, I found it really enjoyable.
It was very satirical.
Yes.
I thought of the time period. And I absolutely adore the time period. I just really like Mrs. Shivani, because she's such a cunning little
serpent.
She's a cunning little beat word.
So that is all the text that we read for our drama class. So clearly we weren't huge fans of everything that we read, and I think we're going to be even less fans of what we're reading this semester.
Yeah, it's very obscure. A Doll's House I'm looking forward to, because it's very famous and I've never read it.
I'd never heard of it. And we're doing a lot more for like musical theatre, which I love musical theatre. Well, actually, you know what? We did see one more play for drama.
We did!
We actually saw at the Dunstan Playhouse, we saw Andrew Vell's Things I Know to Be True. There's my rating. There we go. Look at that.
Boom!
Yeah,
that play
was amazing.
Amazing!
It was so good.
So we should tell them a little bit about what
go for it.
So it was physical theatre, which means basically it's less about standing on the stage and acting and more about movement and lifting the characters up and doing monologues. And
it was odd. It was a different thing I hadn't seen before, but it was really
different.
Worked.
It was, the actors were fabulous. It was very emotional and intense, and the sets were gorgeous, and oh my god, I loved it so much. The music was, I bawled like a baby. The ending was sad.
It was a very good play. So yeah, that's everything that we watched and read in drama. So now we're going to talk about what we read in English. We're going to start with a text that you probably didn't expect me to start with. We're actually going to start with Bluebeard. Bluebeard we read right at the beginning. Oh my, I can't even remember Bluebeard.
Yeah. No, I want to give it 4, but really it's just nothing really that special about it. It wasn't fleshed out or anything.
It was like 5 pages long.
It was a folktale that teaches you not to be curious and to mind your own business.
But it was good, and I really enjoyed it, so
sure.
4 from me. Okay, so then we read The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter, which is I want to say modern retelling of Bluebeard.
Sort of.
But I never really got where it was from.
Well, Angela Carter wrote that in the 1700s, so
What did she?
to give you an idea. I enjoyed it more than the original.
So I enjoyed the original more.
I preferred that The Bloody Chamber was a lot more fleshed out, like
and a lot
proper
more bloody.
short story, and a lot more bloody.
So the next book we read for English was Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf.
You pretty much expected that was what was going to happen.
I actually found that I enjoyed it more than I thought I did. It was very, very difficult to read because it's a stream of consciousness, so it's all just kind of one chapter.
It's like the character's thoughts spilling out, yeah.
While I didn't enjoy the story and I found the story to be quite boring, I do appreciate what Virginia Woolf was trying to do and how she has like opened the door for literature.
I'm about to totally disagree.
She broke the boundaries of her time is actually what I wrote on my Goodreads review. I understand why it's a classic, but I don't personally enjoy it.
I hated this book with such fiery passion.
To be fair, you didn't even finish the book.
No, because I couldn't get through it, Jenna. It was so dense. It's just so dense, and I hated the narrative. It was like it was written by a mental patient. As my honestly, that is my opinion. The story was boring. I couldn't figure out who we were being narrated by when, like which character we were following when. There's no chapters. There's no structure. There's a sentence in this book that is an entire page long. Oh my god, it's the worst thing I've ever read in my life. And that is my review.
Okay, so the next book that we read for English was The Hours by Michael Cunningham. So The Hours is a tribute. It's a tribute to Mrs. Dalloway, and it tells the story of 3 different women on sort of one day. So one is Virginia Woolf herself in the 1920s, another one is Laura Brown in the 1950s?
Yeah.
1940s, sorry, and Clarissa Vaughan in the 1990s.
Yeah, see, I just couldn't get past the Mrs. Dalloway thing. I really
Only because there were actual passages of Mrs. Dalloway in The Hours.
Yeah, if that wasn't there, it would have gotten 4 stars. I enjoyed that so much more than Mrs. Dalloway.
I think because it was written in modern times, so we were able to relate to it a lot more, but it definitely helped. It actually helped me with my understanding of Mrs. Dalloway to have read The Hours.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
So I'm glad that I read both texts, but yeah, The Hours is definitely like a million times
But
better for me.
it's not even that it's modern. It has structure.
Yeah,
it has chapters. It doesn't have page-long sentences.
You know what though?
It makes sense.
To be fair though, I just read Harry by Stephen King, and that one doesn't have chapters in it either. But yeah, it was a really easy read.
Sometimes you can get away with it, but the way Mrs. Dalloway is written, it's just like the whole book is just one continuous strand of thought, and it hurts my brain.
Actually, yeah, it did hurt my
But this one, significantly better. I liked how he tied the 3 women in, and the way it ended was
the way it ended was,
mind-blowing.
yeah, I really enjoyed the ending. Although a couple of people in my class were like, how did you guys not see that coming? I'm like, I don't
What are you,
know.
psychic?
I don't know. I see most things coming, not with that book.
I don't like to read a story or watch a movie and like try and predict how it ends. I like to just watch it.
Alright, you ready? Your favourite book's coming up. Which one? Which one could it be? Favourite book? Oh my god!
Okay, so the third book and the last book that wasn't a play that we read for English was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now, I say read it, but I'm pretty sure both Beck and I didn't finish this book.
I got 80 pages in.
I got 120. I didn't even rate it because I didn't finish it. Oh my goodness.
Okay, can't really rate a book that you finished, but I mean, we are, but what is wrong with you?
So I wasn't able to get through the whole book because I found it really dense and really difficult to read.
Very dense.
But I love the story.
I hate the story.
I loved the I really enjoyed the narrative, and I think that if eventually I'm going to watch the TV show or just watch the movie.
I think I'm going to watch the movie.
And I think I'm going to really, really enjoy it. But actually reading it, I had a lot of issues with it. It was so dense. I kept getting headaches when I read it because it was just so dense. I gave up. I've never, ever not finished a book before, but I DNF'd this one. I just couldn't do it.
Actually, I'm gonna have to take something back. I said Mrs. Dalloway is the worst thing I've ever read, but I think it's a tie between those two because I didn't enjoy the story. It's very dense. The language is so outdated. I had trouble reading it. I had trouble keeping up with what was going on and who was who and where.
Yeah, figuring out who was very difficult.
Like, it took me ages just to figure out who the 5 daughters were. Like,
and the fact that they called everyone like Miss Bennett.
Yes.
And I'm like, there are like
there's 5 daughters,
and they
call them all Miss Bennett.
I'm like, so which one are we talking about
Who?
here?
What Miss Bennett? It was
Obviously.
very boring. I just couldn't finish it because I was just bored.
And the last text that we read for English was Othello by William Shakespeare.
Just because it wasn't my favourite Shakespeare play. I have other plays that I think were better.
have always loved Othello.
I really enjoyed it, but not his best play. So I can't, on good conscience, give it 5 stars.
I haven't read like heaps of his plays, but of the ones I have read, this is one of my favourites.
I think this one's sort of on par with Hamlet.
I've never read Hamlet. I've seen The Lion King, but I've never read Hamlet. What have I read? I've read Romeo and Juliet, which I love. Othello, which I loved. I've read Midsummer Night's Dream.
That's my favourite.
I've read The Tempest, which obviously didn't enjoy as much.
Right.
And I've read Macbeth, which I did enjoy, but that one only got 4 from me.
Oh no, Much Ado About Nothing is my favourite. So I always confuse that and
I
Midsummer Night's
thought you
Dream.
loved Much
No,
Ado.
Much Ado is my favourite. I was in Much Ado. I love Much Ado. Yeah.
Going back to Othello,
Yeah.
I really, we're so bad.
Shakespeare.
So going back to Othello though, I really did enjoy this one. I enjoyed the characters, I enjoyed the plot. Iago was a fantastic villain. He may have just been, although he was probably just a villain for the sake of being a villain, he did it so well that I just didn't care. He was very charismatic, and I have a real weakness for charismatic villains. So if I read a book or anything and the villain's charismatic, I'm in trouble.
The biggest issue I had with studying Othello last semester was the way they made us view the play through a racism lens.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
It's really not about racism at all. Like,
No.
I thought that the main themes of the play were more to do with jealousy and
Yeah, they were.
greed
I think racism is just a tool that Iago used to turn everyone against Othello.
He doesn't hate Othello because he's, black. He hates him because he's got everything Iago wants.
Exactly. And but I think trying to view it through a 21st century lens, we're going to see it in a different view.
I know, but they really forced the race thing on us, and I'm like, it's not about that.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to make something that's not there. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not that it wasn't there.
It's one of the things that I really don't like about studying English at university is, and we don't know what an author was thinking. Shakespeare probably just wrote a play about a guy who fell in love with a girl and then made some really stupid decisions.
I mean, we can't know for sure, because obviously we can't ask the dude. I think a lot of the time they read into things that simply are not there.
But that's
or
what
don't seem
English
like
is all
they're
about,
there.
I guess. So
Yeah. Oh my god, it drives me insane.
This
That's
is
why
why
I'm not
Beck,
doing it now.
This is why Beck dropped it next semester.
No, it just drives me nuts how they try and force their views on you, and I'm like, what's next?
Nothing, we're done.
We're done.
I lied, we did read some poetry, but I give poetry 1 star all the time.
I don't like poetry.
You're not doing English, but this semester we're actually working off of Shakespeare's
So
sonnets.
many sonnets on that list. Like, I took one look at the reading list, I was like, bye Felicia. Like, I'm out of here.
What are you doing? Oh my god.
I would thank you, Beck, for joining me in our venting of how we felt about our books this semester. I would invite you back for semester 2 books, but unfortunately, obviously, you're not doing English. So we could only talk about the drama plays. We could talk about just the drama plays, but I feel like we're going to have more to say about the English books. Anyway, although I am really looking forward to reading them, I guess. Yeah.
Good luck with your sonnets. I'm gonna be over here not doing English.
If you want to see more of Beck's stuff, particularly all her Ruby things that eventually she will explain to me properly, I will leave a link to her channel in the description box below. We also did a video over on her channel, which I'm pretty sure, we haven't filmed it yet, but I'm gonna win.
We're about to film it.
And I'll leave a link to that one in the description box as well. I will also leave a link to everyone's social media in the description box below, so follow us everywhere if you would like to. If not, you should follow us anyway, because we're actually pretty funny.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing.
Stay random.
Bye!
Yay!
So funny.